Deja vu? It may seem like it since we've made the same announcement 3 times in the last 3 months, with this being number 4, but we are lowering our prices again. First, our 30-day all access went from $349 to $299. Next, the 7-day all access pass went from $119 to just $99. And just a few weeks ago, despite our popular 3-day all access pass, it went down to $59 from $69. Next up is the 90-day all access pass, which is now officially dropped down to $749 from being $849, giving you 90 days of selections from your favorite handicapper for under $6 per week. Remember, purchased wager bucks can now be used the same as cash, including on our new lowered price, $3, $7, $30, and 90-day all access packages, allowing you to save every day on every pick you buy.
Happy Friday, guys. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis, and you are watching Puck Time. We have 4 games to break down. I have my co-host, Carmine Bianco, with me. We have power plays at the end of the show, and of course, the famous 6 in 60 segment with Carmine Bianco. It's been very successful over the past couple weeks here. 4-game slate here on a Friday with the Predators and the Hurricanes, Panthers, Wild, Stars, Blackhawks, and the nightcap with the LA Kings and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I'll bring in my co-host, Carmine Bianco. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Things are good. I am sore. I spent the whole morning shoveling the driveway. You know, I have a snowblower, Andrew, but I didn't want to fire that puppy up early in the morning and wake up all the neighbors and stuff. I really wish I would have. I hand shoveled most of the driveway, and then when I got to the end of it, I just I'm just like, screw this. I went to the garage, got the snowblower, fired it up, and finished off the rest of it. It's a long driveway. I'm just glad it's done, and came in and just went over the hockey highlights and some notes, man. Some really good games tonight. I love all the goalies so far that are expected to start. The goalie thing is real important, I think, at this point in the season. And some good games last night. So close to sweeping the board yesterday for me, but the New York Rangers couldn't get it done in that shootout. So a 2-1 NHL night. But I'm kind of lamenting one thing, that I didn't have the cojones to take Marty St. Louis to get his first win against St. Louis. But kudos to the Montreal Canadiens on getting it done. And one of my friends sent me quite a few pictures of the game yesterday, the Leaf game. Some fans in the stands there, more fans coming, and my tickets that were on in my passport on my phone that were made inactive this morning were made active again, which means that my tickets are now good to go and watch some of the Leaf games, the next one being March the 2nd when they play the Buffalo Sabres. So with that said, I'm looking forward to 4 games tonight, the 6 in 60 segment, and hopefully a big weekend, Andrew.
The Sabres and the Leafs game, that's just the marquee matchup of the year, Carm. So don't lose those tickets for that game, man. That'll be one you just won't want to miss out on. Hopefully the dogs are barking in that game for your case as they're barking in my house right now. The first game we're going to discuss, the Predators and the Hurricanes. I'm going to just hand the mic to you with this one, but I'll present the odds here. Carolina -180, Nashville +150. And one thing I wanted to mention real quick, Nashville, 7 straight losses on the road in Carolina. Lots of overs with Nashville right now as well, but Carolina playing some pretty good hockey. But do you agree with this -180 price tag, Carm?
Yeah, it probably should be in and around this price. Listen, Nashville's a good team. We get it. And when they're playing extremely well, Andrew, they're a tough team to beat. But they haven't been playing extremely well of late. And when they're not, I think they're a much easier team to beat. And then you got Carolina. Listen, Carolina's lost 4 of the last 5, but that game, that game that they played at home against Florida, that was their first game home off a road trip. We always talk about wanting to fade that, and then fading them at home isn't usually a good thing. But they played the Florida Panthers, who are just playing absolute lights out hockey right now as well too. So you get that. I think it becomes a little easier to fade them in that spot. But this is a great bounce back spot for them. I'm not thrilled about laying minus 180, but I get the price, and I think the price is right. I think the market has it right here. I think if you made it any lower, if you made this line, say 140, 150, the amount of money that would come in on Carolina would just drive the price right up again. At minus 180, you probably separate the action a bit because people are going to want to take Nashville Predators at a price, figuring that the Hurricanes are struggling, having lost 4 of their last 5. But a great spot, get better spot for Carolina here. Probably take them in regulation time if you want to, or you just tie them into another game. If you do like another game, you can tie them into like a parlay there. That idea didn't work for me yesterday with Washington and the New York Rangers, but for the most part, it has. Skipping the laying that much juice and just tying it into another game and taking the plus money on it. So Carolina for me tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I make the mistake of saying they're playing good hockey. I should have said they're playing competitive hockey right now, because a lot of their games, if you look at it, have been relatively close. Back-to-back games decided between 1 goal. Then they had that blow-up victory over Boston. And prior to that, back-to-back games, 1-goal games against Ottawa and Toronto. So, yeah, especially that ending to that Florida game was just absurd. I mean, if you had Carolina in that game, you're not happy. Based on the way that ended. That was an exciting game from start to finish here. And, it's like I said at the start with Nashville, the way they're cashing these overs, just also kind of a lot of times you're either on the losing end or the winning end of these overs. And right now we're finding Nashville on the losing end of these overs. Giving up 4 goals against Washington, 5 goals against Winnipeg, 4 goals against Dallas. I mean, with how good of a team Carolina is defensively, I think this is not a team that Nashville wants to play right now, especially with how lackluster their defense looks right now. So how would you feel about a team total over 3.5 here for Carolina tonight?
It's a tough one because I'm not really sure. When you have a team like Nashville that's playing the way they are and they're struggling, sometimes they put in that one defensive effort where it signals a change in something that, kind of like the Washington one. I talked about the Washington win in Nashville. I thought it signaled that they could be turning it around. I get it. They played the Flyers yesterday. So that's a little different there. But they could put in you got Saros. If Saros is in net, he's tough to beat as well, too. The thing about Carolina, Andrew, that I wanted to touch on real quickly is, they've lost 4 of the last 5. But sometimes you have to look at those games. They played Florida, and you just talked about the ending to that game. They lost in Minnesota. The Wild are a very good team. They lost against Toronto, another good team. And then they had to play Ottawa, which, Ottawa might not be the best of teams, but they've surprised some teams of late at home. And that was a back-to-back. And Carolina was in a hole early in that one. I think they were down 4-0 in that game at one point. So, you have to sort of look at the games within a losing streak. It's when you're losing games by a 4 or 5-1 margin. And that's kind of what Nashville's been doing in some of their games as well, too. So I look at Carolina, and I'm not worried about their losing streak. The Nashville one's a little different. Theirs is a little troubling. I've seen Nashville go into the dumpers and lose like 7 or 8 in a row before they turn it around. So it doesn't bode well, the fact that this is probably going to be a hungry Canes team that they're facing tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of that Florida Panthers team that beat Carolina in that game, let's discuss them right now with the Florida Panthers taking on the Minnesota Wild in a matchup tonight that should be an exciting one on paper. Minnesota plus 110 at home, Florida on the road minus 130, total 6.5 here in this one. Minnesota off that loss against Winnipeg where they allowed 6 goals. And I'll tell you, Carm, that Winnipeg team might be one of the most difficult teams to figure out in the entire league right now. You just have no idea what they're going to do, how many they're going to score, what type of defense we're going to see from them. I was outright shocked to see 6 goals scored for the Winnipeg Jets the other day against the Minnesota Wild. Even more shocked to see the Wild allow that many goals and play that poorly defensively. But Allowing 4 goals to the Detroit Red Wings, then you allow 6 goals to Winnipeg Jets offense that has struggled, and now you got to play a Florida team here. I'm not sure that's a really good spot here, even though they're playing at home. I think I like the road favorite here, looking at the Florida Panthers to get the job done.
Yeah, Andrew, there's not many times I would want to aid the Minnesota Wild at home. I'm going to in this one, and this is basically a value play. And the reason I'm doing it, you got a Florida team that are just playing lights out hockey. They're 15-4-1. They're past 20, and even on the road, where to start the season, and even almost halfway through the season, they didn't look good on the road. They weren't the same team that they are at home. But their last 10, they've been a very respectable 6-3-1 on the road. And I'm just not getting enough value with Minnesota here. You're getting plus 110, and I get it. You're getting plus money on Minnesota at home, and they're a very good team as well too. But as far as the goalie matchup goes, if it's Bobrovsky versus Cam Talbot, give me Bobrovsky. He's having a fantastic season. He's 24, 4-3, 2.54 goals against average, and against Minnesota, he's 11-3-1 lifetime. This is a very good Florida team. They're closing out this road trip. It's a 5-game road trip. They've won 2 of 3 games. They play in Minnesota tonight, and then they play Sunday in Chicago before heading home. I think they're going to be 4-1 heading home. I think they win these next couple of games, and it's such a low price on Florida. I always talk about it screams, that low price screams, take this team. This one's screaming, take Florida, and I'm taking them. If this price was completely different, if it was Florida minus 170 or minus 180, and I was getting Minnesota at home plus 140, I would take Minnesota based on the value only. But when you look at these two teams, it has to be Florida for me.
As the saying goes, Carm, bet numbers, not teams. And that's certainly what we're doing here at what we think is a pretty cheap price on the road. I just wanted to mention this, and I truly still believe it. I really think that if you put this Florida Panthers roster in, let's say, I don't know, a Detroit jersey, a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, a Montreal Canadiens jersey, Colorado Avalanche jersey even, this would get so much more credit. I mean, Barkov and Huberdeau are some of the best hockey players in the entire world. And they've started to get more credit, Carm, but even now, they are not talked about enough. The skill they bring every single night. Guys even like Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe. This team, because they're in Florida, is not discussed enough. And obviously, they're kind of like that younger brother to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Florida, who are the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I'm just saying, I think that Florida is still undervalued in the betting markets and just in the media and with general public altogether because of where they're located. I don't think Florida gets enough love, and I think they're a really talented team. If they get good goaltending, they can put up numbers as far as goal scoring goes, and they can be a really dangerous team. It's just something I've always noticed. If you put Barkov on a Maple Leaf jersey, he is the second coming of Bobby Orr or of Wayne Gretzky. All of a sudden now he's on the Florida Panthers, and he's not in the media enough. Am I stretching here, or am I right? I mean, Barkov and Huberdeau are amazing players. I just don't hear enough about them on social media.
Yeah, it is one of those things, Andrew. But we look at like some of the hockey markets, and I'm not trying to disparage Florida, but you can go down to, I can vacation in Florida and get a ticket quite easily to a Florida game or a Tampa Bay game. You go to Montreal or you go to Toronto, and it's not that easy. You're paying through your nose for the seats off of scalpers, because tickets aren't readily available. It's just the way it is. But it's because of the markets as well too. Florida has a ton of they've got NBA teams, they've got baseball teams, you've got football teams. So everyone is fighting for the entertainment dollar. There's only so many dollars you can spread around when it comes to that. Toronto's a little different, but we do have an NBA team here. We do have a baseball team here and a basketball team. But Montreal, it's Montreal, and that's it, Andrew, unless you count the CFL. The one point I want to make, before we touch on the next game, is, this is a good Minnesota team. I'm not slacking them. I just like Florida in this spot. The separation in the West and the East between some of the top teams and the bottom dwellers is, I just think it's greater this year than it's been any other year. I can't wait till the playoffs hit, because we're going to get matchups in the first round of the playoffs in the West and the East that are absolutely going to be phenomenal matchups. It's just, we're going to see things like Tampa Bay versus the Rangers possibly in the first round. It's an insane, it is absolutely insane, the matchups that we're going to have because of the teams. You look at the East and the West, and there are at least 6 marquee teams in each conference. The playoffs are going to be absolutely lit this year. I'm looking forward to it.
I am completely shocked you just said that word, but that's very hip of you, Carm. It's going to be a really, really, really good playoffs.
I'm getting.
You really caught me off guard.
Listen, yeah, whatever, man. I know I'm an old man, whatever, but I'm looking forward to Vegas because we joke around about it. I'm going to be there for 12 days. I'm going to put the over/under on the amount of hours that I sleep at about 60 over the 12 days. So we'll put a line up, and you guys can bet on it in the live chat.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 1 month, man, until we'll be going to actually see a really good game, the Florida Panthers and the Golden Knights. So can't wait for that. I completely agree with you on that. And let's talk about the Dallas Stars and the Blackhawks, because you and I always talk about strength of schedule as something that we both dive into. And when we discuss this game here, Chicago plus 140 at home, Dallas minus 165, totals 5.5. Dallas 8-3 the last 11 games. But let's take a look at who those wins came against, Carm. We're talking about Detroit. We're talking about Philadelphia. We're talking about New Jersey. We're talking about a struggling Boston team at the moment. I don't know, man. I mean, that win against Colorado, the second time they played, that was impressive. But right now, I think that I'd be willing to take a shot here with my underdog of the night. I think Chicago could get it done here as a live dog at home. Dallas has been getting wins, padding their stats, so to speak, but I don't know if they've been playing the toughest of competition. And I think Chicago's got a little bit of confidence right now. Despite some losses, I think they're playing better hockey right now, and the price should not be what it is. So give me the Blackhawks, my underdog of the night here at home. What are your thoughts here, Carm?
Ooh, look at you taking the Blackhawks. You know what, Andrew? It's funny because for you guys in our live chat, and we love the comments that you guys post each and every day. I'm going to be on again back-to-back performances, or whatever you want to call it, on WagerTalk today later with Prez and Teddy. And I'm going to cover this game as well too, and you're going to hear me give out the Chicago Blackhawks as a dog, and I'm going to throw out some stats on that show. I like the Hawks here, Andrew. I like the fact that it's going to be Marc-Andre Fleury net. He played extremely well in that game in Winnipeg. They played as a team extremely well. The Columbus one, not so good for these two teams last night. And I retweeted, I don't know if anyone saw that, but if you go to my Twitter page, you'll see my tweet. The referee in last night's game had a hot mic, turned it off just in time as he was telling one of the players to shut the F up. So I thought it was pretty hilarious. It's a shame that he shut off that mic before he got the full sentence out, but that was pretty funny regardless. But I like him in this spot, Andrew. Listen, Fleury can steal you games. They're showcasing him right now. I have to believe that the Blackhawks are showcasing Fleury to move him before the trade deadline, as long as it's a team that fits within I think it's 10 or 12 teams that he's given them that he would move to. One of them is not going to be Washington Capitals. I can tell you that much. I'm going to take him here. This Dallas team, I get it. They've won 5 in a row on the road. I had them in 4 of those. I didn't have them when they went to Colorado. But again, regression kicks in, I think, for the Stars on the road. After a nice little run for them, I'm going to take the Hawks here plus money. I'm going to sit on this a little while before I bet this, Andrew, because I think we get a little more money in on Dallas throughout the afternoon. And if I can get the Hawks at plus 150, I'm taking them.
Love it. We'll wait and try and get a better price here later in the day. For more information, Carmen is doing a back-to-back. This is the second half of your back-to-back, Carm, on WagerTalk today. So we'll try and find some stats on that for the two appearances in 2 days. But you're back-to-back today on WagerTalk today.
It's one of those. I'm filling in. I'm a filler, Andrew. It's all I am. I don't have your fantastic NHL numbers that you've put up the last couple of months and stuff, and you're battling Brian, but I'm filling in. I think it's the All-Star break, I believe, and so there's not a lot of NBA to discuss. So the normal guest sort of stepped aside, and I'm jumping in to discuss a couple games.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you check out that show as well, going at 12 o'clock Eastern time. In our last game before the 6 and 60 segment, we do have the LA Kings going to T-Mobile Arena to take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas minus 170. We got LA plus 145. Total is 6 in this game. If you want to dabble on the puck line for Vegas, minus 1.5. That's plus 145 for them. As far as a little bit of trends here, we have seen 4 of the last 5 games go up and over the total for the LA Kings. We have also seen them go 3 and 7 their last 10 games against the Vegas Golden Knights. And I guess we could call this a bit of a rivalry game between these two, but I think it takes some competitive nature, Carm, for it to really be a rivalry. You can give me your thoughts on that, but I think you kind of have to have both teams winning for it to really be a rivalry. But obviously, we're kind of experiencing and we're hearing all about it. You're going to hear me complain about the LTIR rule right now going on with the Vegas Golden Knights, as Mark Stone has been placed on that long-term injury reserve list, which means Jack Eichel could slide right in like he did last game. Pretty much what Tampa Bay did last year. And we'll probably see Mark Stone come back in the playoffs when there's no salary cap. But that's for a whole other story. Let's talk about this game. Vegas have had back-to-back games with 0 goals. They've been shut out in 2 straight games. And prior to that, they scored against Edmonton. They had a pretty good game. But I'll tell you what, I think this game, and they've already dominated LA in the past, like I said, this game means a lot to the Vegas Golden Knights because we have seen them go through slumps when they have one of their key players missing. It happened earlier in the season when they had a couple guys out, including Max Pacioretty, and it might happen again here, Carm. So this is a bigger game, I think, for them than some might think. And I just wanted to say that I think them in regulation tonight, although it might be a popular play, a trendy play on the board tonight, I think it's the one because I think we're going to get a very focused team in Vegas. And if I'm LA, I'm upset that Vegas has gotten shut out their past 2 games because you know you're going to get the best effort out of the Vegas Golden Knights. I wanted to mention as well, Carm, obviously Eichel had his debut last game with the team. Played all right, kind of settled in a little bit, but everybody always wants to jump on a player's debut goal-scoring prop. I always wait for the second game. Let that guy get familiar with his line mates, then the second game jump in. I'm locked and loaded with Jack Eichel plus 145 to score a goal. He'll find the back of the net tonight. Maybe a shots on goal prop as well. But I think Vegas bounces back at home tonight, and I also think Jack Eichel puts one in the net. What about you?
Yeah, first to your point of the, Tampa Bay did it last year with the LTIR, the long-term injury reserve, and it's a rule. It's a rule, and it's there, and it's perfectly legal. And if all the general managers want to change it, they can change it. But the general managers who aren't using it are doing themselves a disservice. If you look at Vegas, it's quite simple. They have $5.7 million in LTIR. You have, by putting Stone on the injury reserve, you gain another 9.5 in cap space. So now you have a little over $15 million. You activate Jack Eichel, $10 million. You activate Martinez, $5.25 million. And you're there. The only thing they had to do is because of the roster space, you have to send someone down or reassign them, and they reassign one of their players who makes $700,000, and boom, there you have it. You have now brought Eichel into the lineup. You have Martinez back. You're giving Stone some time off, and come playoff time, Stone is activated, and you have a stacked lineup. So it's one of those things, to the total in the game now. You know what I mean? You have to look at Vegas totals, and I get Eichel's in there, but I think you have to start looking at some of these totals because you have to have Stone. He's such a leader for this team, and the guy does get points. So it worries me moving forward, looking at some of the totals and stuff. Vegas isn't looking at. I don't think their concern is finishing first in the Pacific, Andrew, and it's one of the reasons why I like the Calgary Flames, given their schedule and finishing first in that division. This is long term for Vegas, not short term. They're going to make the playoffs. They know they're going to make the playoffs. They'll position themselves, get everyone healthy and into the lineup, and have the same type of stacked lineup that the Tampa Bay did. To your point of this game, it's troubling they haven't scored any goals in the last couple of games. You don't see normally a team of Vegas's caliber get shut out in back-to-back games. But let's not forget, they played two very good teams that are playing lights-out hockey right now as well, too. So I normally would not lay the price that the Vegas Golden Knights are. I think 165 is a good price to take the Golden Knights tonight. I won't even look at them in regulation time. I'll lay the minus 165 here and take Vegas.
All right, expecting a bounce back performance from the Vegas Golden. It's a great point you made there, Carm, about how they have gotten shut out their last two games, but they've faced some teams playing some great defense and locking things down. And I think a team like Colorado, they might go a little bit underrated with how great their defense can be, just because, hey, they're so talented offensively, right? And Darcy Kemper had a great game. He's playing well too. So, yeah, I think that things will be different tonight when they play an LA Kings team that, like I said, has gone over the total for the last 5 games. And one of the main reasons they are going over the total is because they're getting scored on. It's not like it's them doing the scoring. The totals are going over because they are allowing goals. So Carmen and I are in agreement here that Vegas Golden Knights are the play in this one. And I hope we can get Jack Eichel to find the back of the net at that sweet plus 145. I'll tell you what, Carm, I truthfully believe this. Give it a month. Give it a month and a half. Jack Eichel will be plus 120 to be a goal scorer. Plus 145 right now is a steal for this guy being on the top line.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, and as well, too, you look at Vegas' schedule, and there are some soft spots in the foreseeable future. So, he's going to get his points. He's going to be on the power play. He's going to, on the special teams, he's going to get that extra shift as well, too, if they're down in a game. So that adjusts the price sort of moving forward. Just going back to Vegas for a second, it's kind of the same feeling I have with the Edmonton Oilers. I get Mike Smith has won 3 in a row now, and he's stopped a ton of rubber, but I feel the same way about Smith and Koskinen, a duo in Edmonton, as I do with Lehner and Laurent Brassard on this team, which is come playoff time, when you're playing teams like Colorado, when you're playing teams like Minnesota, these are tough series. I'm not completely confident in a guy like Robert Lehner in goal. You know what I mean? I'm not confident that Mike Smith can win a playoff series. And this is the big thing about goalies. Dave Koken talks about, needing to know who the goalies are before he wants to make a play. I think it's an important thing. Sometimes we will discuss the games before the goalies are confirmed, and then I find out later that a change has been made. I'm expecting Ville Husso in net for St. Louis, and all of a sudden it's Jordan Binnington who's having just a nightmare of a season. It's one of those things. Come playoff time, when you look at teams and they match up well, it's going to come down to goaltending, Andrew, and which goalie can steal you a game in the playoffs, which is huge in these 7-game series.
Absolutely, and it's nice in the playoffs when you actually know which goaltender is going to be out there. Like you said, unlike sometimes during the regular season and right now, refresh, trying to find out who these starting goaltenders are going to be. Before we get to best bets, we got to get to some bets for tomorrow in the NHL, a jam-packed Saturday slate, and that's where we bring in the 6 in 60 segment. You've been crushing it lately, Carm. I'll hand the mic over to you. You have 60 seconds for your plays.
All right, let's not start the clock yet, Dan. Hold up on that clock. Restart that clock. What's the clock? Oh, God. Okay, Colorado and Buffalo, the Avalanche, -1.5 against the Sabres. Avs 17, 1-2 their last 20. 40-year-old Craig Anderson is in net. He might be 80 by the time this game is over. Edmonton and Winnipeg. We're going to take Winnipeg +120 here. The Oilers are red hot, but they visit a Winnipeg team that has played 2 very good games at home and seem to have the Oilers' number. St. Louis and Toronto over 6. This game is at Scotiabank. Fans in the stands, 6-5 on January 15th in St. Louis. That was a feisty game. We're going to see some goals here. LA and Arizona. The Kings suddenly have 3 teams battling for that last spot. They can't afford to drop points here. Take the Kings in regulation. Seattle and Calgary. Flames red hot. They've scored 5 or more goals in all 5 games on this homestand, winning all 5. Take the Flames in regulation time. Finally, Anaheim and Vancouver over 5.5. The Ducks are a hot mess in February. 3 games, all overs, allowed 17 goals. Take the over 5.5.
I will say that you made it in 1 minute because you started about 6 seconds after the time started. So hats off to you. And don't try and drag our producer under the bus. I saw you, Carm, telling Dan to. I hear Dan just saying it's already
too early.
Come
on, he's got a quick trigger. Our producer's got a quick trigger. You know what I mean? Like this is he's a Flyers fan, he's an Eagles fan. He's buzzing me right now. But at least he's got a good Sixers team. As long as has James Harden quit yet or no? Is he still there? Okay.
Anyways. I think he just asked for a trade this morning. He doesn't like the strip clubs in town. But that's for a whole nother conversation. We have best bets to get into. I will start with the best bet. I'll let Carm have just a second to catch his breath. After that, UFC has been great for me. Hit that 5% last weekend. We've got a good card for tomorrow night, betting-wise at least. As far as the actual action goes, it's a very weird card. But make sure you guys check out my UFC. I know there's plenty of other great handicappers at WagerTalk doing UFC, but I'm really having a great past 6 months with UFC. 4 and 5% plays, best bets, hitting around 64%, and hoping to keep that going tomorrow night. As far as NHL action, I'm just on 2 plays so far. We'll see if I add anything, waiting on some lineups, waiting on some goaltending information as well. My best bet for tonight on the show, we're going to go with the LA Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights first period over 1.5 goals. I'm isolating the first period after we saw Vegas get shut out back-to-back games. The amount of goals we've seen LA give up, but LA is also being competitive too. Kind of a rivalry game here. I expect at least 2 goals in the first period when these 2 teams meet tonight in Las Vegas. Carm, I'll go to you for what you have up for grabs and your best bet. And once again, guys, if you're not listening to me when I tell you to buy Carm's 5% soccer plays, you're missing out on some cash. Carm pretty much paid for my drinks without even knowing for it last night after I cashed on his 5% soccer play, took that to the bar. And, hey, I appreciate it, Carm. So these guys, they think I'm just being nice to you. I'm trying to let them know about the cash you're making people with your soccer plays. So I appreciate you covering my tab last night, man.
All good, man. I'm glad I could buy you a couple of drinks, and I'll do the same when we hit Vegas. And for any of you guys that are going to be in Vegas, as I said, we're going to do the WagerTalk Puck Time meet and greet at the Westgate Hotel and Casino in the sports book on the 18th of March. Drop in, we'll have some swag, and I'll buy you guys some drinks. The best bet, I'm going to go back to the game that we talked about, the Florida Panthers. The line's at -130. I like the line here. I like this road trip and how this Florida team is playing right now. I think they get the win here. I think they also get the win in Chicago on Sunday and head home with a very successful 4-1 trip. So take the minus 130 with Florida as the show best bet. Couple plays up in NHL, couple in soccer this afternoon, and a big weekend ahead. Grab that 3-day all access, guys, because I will have a 5% play up on the weekend.
Awesome stuff. Make sure you follow Carmine on Twitter at CarmineWT. Carmine Bianco WT. I am at McInnis Picks. I have a special promo code I am keeping for just my Twitter followers, which I'll be tweeting out after this show. So make sure you check us out on Twitter. Also, our Puck Time account at PuckTimeWT. Check that out as well. Always tweeting out show information and some free plays as well. To recap the power plays, Carmine Bianco looking at Florida on the money line. And I have LA and Vegas first period over 1.5 goals. On behalf of our producer, Dan, on behalf of Carmine, I am Andrew, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Deja vu? It may seem like it since we've made the same announcement 3 times in the last 3 months, with this being number 4, but we are lowering our prices again. First, our 30-day all access went from $349 to $299. Next, the 7-day all access pass went from $119 to just $99. And just a few weeks ago, despite our popular 3-day all access pass, it went down to $59 from $69. Next up is the 90-day all access pass, which is now officially dropped down to $749 from being $849, giving you 90 days of selections from your favorite handicapper for under $60 per week. Remember, purchase wager bucks can now be used the same as cash, including on our new lowered price, $3, $7, $30, and 90-day all access packages, allowing you to save every day on every pick you buy.